you today?
I'm reflective, but I'm good. I mean, I'm good, and it would be expected that I would be good. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We'll talk about that in a minute.
Let's do this.
Wade and Carter weather brought to you by our great friends at Deerland Feed for what, 50 years? More than that.
51, I think.
Unbelievable.
Maybe a little longer than that even.
For all your needs, baby chicks to saddle and tack to fertilizers, weed killer, bug killer, rat killer.
All your ag and pet needs, they've got it all.
All your feeds. There you go. 66 degrees and foggy in Victoria, heading to a high today of 84 under cloudy skies. Supposed to have a pretty decent chance of rain tonight. It's that kind of
day.
Spring showers, May flowers.
Yeah.
We need some rain, folks.
We do need some rain.
We need a little rain. And it's nice when God sends the rain at night, so it doesn't disrupt the whole day.
Exactly.
You wake up, your car's wet, and you go, oh, yippee, turn off the water sprinkler today. So sad news over the weekend.
God's rejoicing, though.
Absolutely.
One in his home.
8:30 Saturday evening. There's really no other way to say it. If it weren't for Steve Argybright, who passed Saturday night, there very well might not be a Wade and Carter program. Steve was a visionary, an entrepreneur, a great partner.
Steve might have believed in us, and we didn't quite believe in us.
We weren't quite so certain.
We had a concept and an idea. Steve was like, let me help you get it going.
And I'll never forget being in his office, it's an immense office. He and Brent Goen, another great Victorian, share this space. And I remember being in his office. Fortunately, Goen wasn't there because Goen probably would have poo-pooed the idea. But Argybright said, how much do you need to do that? And I kind of stammered like I just did. And he said, just tell me, how much do you need? And I said, well, I've got a pencil to it, and it's X number of dollars. And before I could say, and here's why. I was going to say, well, we need to buy headphones, and we've got to do this, and it costs rent. He just whipped out a checkbook and said, I feel led to support this. And then they did for 2.5 years after that. Without me ever asking, I didn't sell him a sponsorship. He set the standard and started sending us a check every month. And then one day, in true Steve fashion, he called me. He said, can you come by the office? Of course, he's a great insurance client and has been for years. And I went by there and I said, yes, sir, is everything okay? He said, yeah, but I'm feeling led to go a different direction because there's somebody else that needs the money I've been giving y'all. And I know that you're stable now. I'm setting you free. And there was, never anything but gratitude and love for Warrior Supply. Just a fantastic, the whole company is built on the premise of serving others. And truly, truly a big loss. Those of you that know Sun Valley, Steve had a huge hand in that. So many individual stories.
He officiated my daughter's wedding. Him and Tyler were very close. It was got to know Steve from when we used to attend Northgate Church. And Pastor Randy Franklin and Steve were very close. And yesterday was a tough day, I'll be honest. But it was funny because Tyler was like, we're all sitting down here crying, and Steve would be looking down going, suck it up, Buttercup.
Oh, yeah, not to mention, Steve's the kind of guy that would walk into heaven and go, hey, looky there, got all my toes back. I mean, Steve was diabetic. He had some comorbidities. And he would tell me, yeah, because I have to buy that. Somebody would say something about something costing too much, and he'd go, "Well, look at me. I got to buy both shoes. I only got 1.5 feet." It's just he was a suck it up, Buttercup kind of individual. Had lots of issues medically, but absolutely zero issues spiritually or in personality. Super empathetic.
Yeah, read a lot of stories that people were posting about Steve yesterday, and I read one last night that really summed him up, and I'm not going to go into great detail on it, but basically he was having trouble sleeping. God had told him he needed to be somewhere, and he didn't know why, and all of a sudden, boom, it became apparent, and he ran outside and brought a young lady inside that needed some help and got her some help and said, called around, got everything that needed to be done to be helped, said, Don't worry about it. Whatever it costs, just let me know. I'll take care of it. And when somebody wanted to tell the story, Steve said, it's not our story to tell. It's the young ladies and God's. And, if kids were involved, Steve had a soft spot for them, but he never wanted any of the adulation and glory that so many seek when they do things to help others. And that is probably, I think, the biggest thing and way that Steve lived that I think was most impressive is he didn't seek any glory at all. It was just, he knew he had to help people and he did. And he didn't want anyone to know. And he didn't want his story told.
I remember when he first introduced me to Glenn Dry, and he was just, they had a vision, and the things that they've done at Sun Valley and all the children and the Cowboy Church and all that. And Steve was a guy who truly, you hear people all the time say, oh, everything I've got belongs to God, but, and Steve really did live that. And I would remind, he became, of course, he was a super client. Then he became a mentor and then a tremendous friend. And I would remind him of that. I'd go, when insurance premiums would go up, it's all God's, Steve. So, and he'd say, yeah, but the less I give to you, the more I can give to others. And he truly did embody that. He literally couldn't give it all away. It's like every time he would give something away, something else would come his way. And it's a being around Steve Argybright was a faith building exercise.
I was scared of him the first time I met him. He's a big big guy, big man, but
teddy bear,
biggest teddy bear I've ever met.
Yep,
ever.
I challenge you in your daily walk and in your daily life to understand that all of my conversations with Steve Argybright ended with "I love you too," because he always told me he loved me when he hung up, and many times he would say, "Hey, do you have a minute?" And he would just pray for you, like just out of nowhere, just on the phone. You're driving down the road, and he just asked that God would, but always pray for Dawn.
I'm glad you never bowed your head while driving on the road.
Right. When you're listening to him, you almost feel like you could, and the car would stay on the road. You know what I mean? He always asked about Dawn. He always prayed for Dawn. And truly a big loss for Victoria, and you'll hear more about him in the days ahead.
So, Richard King checking in. Good morning to you, Richard. Marvin Mickish, Lisa Poole, Tracy Price is in, Scott Snow, Bobby Leister, Diane Tibbett, BJ Nelson, Christina Wise, there's Judge Posey. Good morning, David
Hello,
Glass,
Judge.
Natalie Mayer, the Leisterometer holding steady at 8:30. Karen Webb, Derek Jansky, good morning, Patrick Strauss, Rena Scherer, Jeremy Pena checking in from New Orleans, Terry Murray, good morning to you, Jeff Finley's in, Kendra Douglas, good morning, Chris Ray Brissett, Chris Conrad is in, Sheriff Louderback, Justin Glass, Brent Anderson, Bob Watley, Robin Moore Knipling. Richard King says he was talking to a young man Friday in North Dakota. He married him and his wife.
Yeah, Steve Argybright did. He was a pastor.
Amanda Smith King, Scott Tomko, Jenna West, good morning. Happy belated birthday to Jenna. If we did that, we would do that, but we don't, so we won't. Marie Day, good morning. Ashley Paul checking in.
Ashley.
Tom Price, good crowd this morning. The Iceman is in. Jeff Fonseca says he had the privilege to play golf with him and Kyle Nethery.
Yep.
Matt Boucher, good morning. Junior Samples, Laura Judd, Trey Molina. Wow, what a group.
Yeah, what a great group.
Blessed to have so many in this morning.
Yeah, absolutely.
But
so we had a big time Saturday night. Went out with Rena Shear, Rena and Calvin.
It was a Go Texan deal.
Yeah, it was. And Jim Winnie and his wife Linda have everybody out to their house, and it's very Texas. You know what I mean? You go out there and you're looking out at the cows, and as it got dark, the pigs, and across the waters, the sun goes down, and yada yada. It was really pretty. But I have to tell you, the Ashley Hafling and the Go Texan, the cooking team from Victoria provided the meal. It's just, so, like when you play golf with somebody and they're just better than you, like you think you can play, but they just are better. Ashley's cooking, he's very patient. And it's just better than I can do. I want to be, I realize it's a function of heat and experience. I get that. But they had big old fillets that were just so tender. So, I mean, literally cut it. They made a point. They gave
Cut
you,
it with a plastic knife.
they gave you a butter knife. There was no steak knife on your table. It was a butter knife. You just cut it. The food was phenomenal.
Nice.
And it's the first time I've had mashed potatoes in about 3 years. Thank you, Dawn. But she didn't even say anything. She said, tonight's a cheat night. Like one of the vegetables, this is how ranch this was. One vegetable was mashed potatoes. The other vegetable was like chicken with some kind of gravy on it. That was the other vegetable.
Other vegetables?
Yeah.
There were mushrooms in that gravy.
That's how bad to the bone that steak was that chicken became a vegetable.
Matt Oker says he never had one of Ashley's briskets, but his dad cooks the best brisket he's ever had.
There you go. Now, is he saying that his dad, Mr. Oker, or that Mr. Hafling?
Mr. Hafling, I think, is where he's going with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Bobcat's in, Fonseca says. He likes that. Yeah, Ashley he does a thing he took these prawn jumbo shrimp and then he didn't
Butterfly them?
Well, yeah, he filleted them open this way and then put cream cheese and, wrapped them in bacon. Pretty much anything. You could wrap a Nike in bacon if you cook it slow enough. I'd eat it.
Crock pot.
Yeah, just eat it. But it is, so Matt Oker says Philip Hafling cooks the best brisket he's ever had. Well, there you go.
Tyler cooked at the Goliad Rodeo, and that's why their food is so good. That brings it home for me.
I'm not sure. We were there on Friday night at the Goliad Rodeo, so it was right in the middle of Lent. So we had fried fish. Now, you know how hard it is to cook fried fish for 6 people, much less 600. It wasn't mushy. It was perfect. And he did those tempura shrimp. I said, man, this is Goliad. These people, they want to dip a snuff in a Budweiser. They don't. What are you doing, man? You're spoiling them.
Oh, you just came up with the next dish for
a dip
the
of
Texas
snuff in a
State
Budweiser.
Rodeo. Fried Copenhagen.
Fried Copenhagen.
Fried Copenhagen.
Just a pinch. There's Dana Moore de la Garza. Good morning, man.
Hello, friends.
Jim Nance here to talk about the Masters.
We'll get to that right after this.
A tradition unlike any other.
Speaking of which,
Allen's Wrecker Service, 578-6300. Allen's is your go-to.
Been busy. I hadn't been out that way in a long time.
Oh, that place.
His yard has a ton of cars.
Did you see my Blazer out there?
I didn't. It was lost amongst all the others.
Yeah, my Blazer. Alan's such a benevolent guy, and he helped me get a wiring harness for my Blazer. And right now, he's had his own trucks he's been working on. And I tell him, I go, my Blazer is sitting in the yard of broken dreams. It's just sitting out there. And it looks kind of landlocked by a couple of wrecked vehicles. Like he couldn't get to it if he wanted to. But Alan has a 75-ton crane, so if he decides to move,
those or your Blazer.
Absolutely.
He can do it.
Behind us, you have the banner of the VCS companies. They're our banner sponsor. Compadres Design made the banner. I recommend that for everybody. But the VCS companies are just the gold standard in the community.
For all your communication needs is the VCS companies, the only locally owned and authorized AT&T retailer.
And solid customer service.
Absolutely.
Kenny, mine's a 70. I built the truck back in 07, sold it in 11, and Dawn tracked it down in the valley, and we bought it back this last year. It had deteriorated some. It was so sweet when I built it. But now it's going to take some love again.
Yeah.
But it's a good-looking truck.
Speaking of love.
Chesney
and love.
Make your house a home. For 101 years. It's hard to imagine. When I say Deerland Feed's been down there for 51 years, I mean, that's a long time. That's most of my life. Chesnick Furniture has been there twice as long. Think about that. Right now, they're at 116 West Swan Lane, the corner of Wanland and Bridge. They've only been there for 70 years. So get down to Chesnick. The furniture that's there hasn't been there 2 weeks.
No.
They sell a ton of it. And they'll deliver it today. Go down. Tell them Wade and Carter sent you. Get the Wade and Carter special. Same thing at Veracruz. Go in and say, I want T-Lats Compuestas. They know. T-Lat orders the same thing. Jim Simpson says, did you get the battery out of it? No, I probably need to get the battery out of it, Jimmy. Jimmy's our buddy over at Interstate Battery. He's our buddy from a lot of places, but he works at Interstate Battery. Jimmy helped me get a battery for that truck, and you're right, Jim. It's probably – I think they disconnected it.
That's good.
But it's tragic. It's just the truck just sits there in the yard of broken dreams. Get to Veracruz today, though. Today be a great day for some cheese enchiladas. I'll tell you, I'm gonna throw it out by name because they earned it. Had to go to San Marcos. Got to have a day with my love yesterday. Went to San Marcos to go shopping for a dress. Katie's getting married.
Yes.
So we had to go there, and we got to go there as a family. She and I on a date. I keep trying to find the positive, and dress shop. I mean, I could have played 36 holes and watched the Masters, but instead I dress shopped. And we went to Chewy's. It's a chain restaurant.
Yeah.
Wasn't cheap.
Wasn't a chain at one point.
Right? At one point, there was just one, right?
That's right.
It's just a lot like this program. Our listeners are now a chain. Originally, there was just one. But the service, we are so spoiled in Victoria. They say in Victoria the hardest thing to find is a service staff. You know, that's what makes running a restaurant in this town hard to do, is that service sucks. Well, not at Veracruz, because everybody there's family.
Yeah, they don't have to.
They'll kick you out of the family if you don't do your part. Exactly. Many will decommission you. So get by there today and enjoy a wonderful lunch. In and out for under $10. Unless you have tea, that's about $18.50. Yeah. There you go. Matt Ogre says, go to the tap room. That's the best burger in San Marcos, and it's been there a long time. San Marvelous, Tammy Williams says. That area is so booming. I can't put a vision in my head around what is San Marcos. You know what I mean? It just blends right into New Braunfels and then right into San Antonio. It's just all one big.
Then the other way, basically.
Yeah, Austin. Yeah.
That corridor's gone crazy.
Patrick Strauss says you have to go to Hertz.
Yeah. You think Japan has stopped celebrating yet?
No. It's hard for us to imagine. Way back when.
I remember when Mike Weir won the Masters and Canada was all a goo gaga over that. But I think this is even taking it to the next level.
It's the next level. Bobby Jones once back in the 20s held the Modern Grand Slam, which was the Open Championship, the U.S. Open, and both amateurs, the British Amateur and the U.S. Amateur. And it was unthinkable. Nobody had ever done it. Nobody had ever approached it to win all four majors at the time in 1 year. And in New York, they gave him a ticker tape parade, which is it's a big deal. I mean, it was a big deal. Say for astronauts had ticker tape parades, but after Bobby Jones. The Yankees had ticker tape parades pretty much every year.
Yeah, pretty much.
But Robert Ford, the announcer, great announcer, by the way, the play-by-play man for the Houston Astros, made the comment that he used to work for a Japanese. His job was getting information about Japanese sports for a newspaper, and said that with the exception of Japanese baseball players, which would be like Suzuki and
some of the great ones,
and sumo wrestlers, which by the way has like religious ties to Japan, that Hideki Matsuyama just entered the pantheon of sports heroism in Japan, that he is now a big deal. Jeff Fonseca says Japan is still ripping sake shots.
Probably.
Like gin sake. They'll circle back around to it.
Not exactly what he goes one over yesterday to win it. Total 10 under, wins it by one over
nobody will
Will Zalatoris or whatever his name was. We'll get to him in a minute because I don't think he's going to have anyway. But anyway, I don't want to be back. No, I don't.
Nobody will remember that he beat Zalatoris, and nobody will remember that he only won by one stroke.
No. He hadn't won since like 2017. So we've seen two guys now in the last 2 weeks that hadn't won for 4 years win on the tour.
Here's the
But-
difference. Spieth will go on and continue to do better and better and better. Matsuyama might take the next 4 years off.
No, I don't think so. I think Matsuyama had played well. He'd hung around a lot of tournaments, just couldn't quite win it. I mean, if you're going to
You look for him to keep doing it?
yeah, he's a good golfer. I think. And when I watched him walk off the 18th green, I don't, and later on I saw he was happy and smiling, but I don't know that I've ever seen anybody walk off the 18th green less excited, or at least appearing excited to win a Masters ever.
Well, guess he had probably, honestly,
Probably had to
zero.
check his shorts because he was close to giving that thing away.
And he probably realized that he had zero people there cheering for him. And not in a racist way. He's very Japanese. I mean, he doesn't like live in Florida. You know, the guy's Japanese, and he
Family probably wasn't he? I didn't.
Yeah, there wasn't a lot of people there. So,
but
Zalatoris is at driver's ed this morning. Says Fonseca. Is he a young man?
24. Yeah, he's pretty young. But
He just doesn't know any better. He'll wake up today and go, I almost won the Masters.
I wonder if Matsuyama will play golf in the next 2 or 3 weeks with all the time by Japanese media. I don't want to say cult figure, but cult-like figure.
What if you won the Masters?
There's not a
They give you a
chance.
check for $2 million. You'd fall into a bottle of Crown and be gone for a month.
No, because if I won the Masters, there'd be nobody else in the Masters. It'd be
Right.
like, the day after,
Right. Yeah.
Armageddon, and I'm the only one left, so I go play the Masters.
They'd have to start a tournament called the Shankers. Right. Then the Cutter.
Well, you know who wins that? Shoffley
Right. Wow.
takes a
Did he
triple at
fold it
16.
up?
And I thought, but Matsuyama was looking like he was going to give it up because he had airmailed, what was it, 15? And started to give strokes back, and Shoffley was within 2. And then on 16, he just goes triple and he's out of it.
Well, you know how when you watch like live from the Masters, you got like Justin Leonard and you've got all these people, and they grandiose everything about the golf course. They just go on, and they do that every week at every course. But they pointed out that there's no place like Augusta where ball position on the greens matters more. I would argue that maybe what's the place over there? There's like 9 golf courses. Pinehurst number 2, supposedly they're push up, they're humpback greens, and if you don't know exactly where to land the ball, you can have major
You mean
problems.
Riverside?
Yeah, it's a lot like that, but they're not made out of gumbo. The interesting thing is they talked about on Friday about how Jordan Spieth on every hole he was below the hole. His placement is perfect, and a lot of truth in that. But for a golf course that is so demanding, I don't think there's another hole, maybe the 16th at the Phoenix Open, where the stadium course and everybody's all gathered
there.
around. But
And
it's
17 at Sawgrass, maybe.
well, 17 at Sawgrass, though, nobody's thinking about making an ace. They're just
Well,
thinking
that's
about
true.
staying on the green.
Yeah.
It seems like everybody who approaches the 16th hole at the Masters is like, there's a chance to make a 1 here.
That's true.
Right? And you would think for all the places that people are freaked out. I watched 3 guys the other day. I don't even know. I think it's 180 yards. But they're all hitting like 8-iron into that green, Ash, and then it lands, and 3 balls were down there.
Well,
You
nobody
could put this-
knows. That's just whoever's on the course says that. I think they make that stuff up.
Right? It's really only 130 yards.
No, I think they hit 8-iron. I don't think they're really hitting an 8-iron.
5.
Yeah.
It's 5-iron. But anyway, there you go.
Their clubs are all set so specifically for them.
So very quickly, after spending a wonderful evening with Dana Moore de la Garza, she did point out that you can plan every aspect of your party in advance, pay for it in advance, save money by paying for it in advance, and have the peace of mind that your wishes will be carried out. More and more people. I think when we were younger, folks passed away and people went, "Wow, what do we do now? What do we do with them?" Because people don't just sit around at parties and go, "Well, with my dad, we went down early and picked out a casket." I'm telling you to go down early and pick out a casket. Get it done.
That's the conversation at your party. It's either a very morbid party or
right.
Time to find the next party.
Exactly. But if you'll dial 652-9157, Dana Moore will come out to your house and help you. Whether you want to be cremated, buried, what kind of casket do you want? And trust me, I guarantee you they go from $1,000 to $20,000.
Lay in state forever.
Right.
In your
I feel good.
In your foyer.
James Brown still kicking around. Motto Mortgage, Cherry Murray can help you refinance a house, buy a new house. It's pretty simple. Interest rates are way down. With your credit that you've got now from buying your house, she can help you lower your payment, maybe pull some cash out. At the very least, lower your payment because you're going to take your interest rate from 5.5 down to 2 point something. 60% of your payment every month seems to be interest anyway.
Pretty much.
Reach out to her. Went Services. I talked to Carl Went yesterday. Drove by Went Services. He's so busy filling and satisfying generator orders that he was up there on a Sunday at about 9:30 trying to organize the calls.
He's got a backup. He's got a what's the word I'm looking for? Like
backup generator
sitting out front, kind of like a demo to look at, so you can see what they look like.
I bet you people try to steal that thing.
I bet you it doesn't work. Yeah. I'll give you an idea.
Went Services though, they'll come out and help you with solar panels, basic electrical work,
plumbing now,
new construction, whatever you need. But I recommend that you reach out to them for a generator.
We're a month and a half from the start of hurricane season, so give Wayne a call now if you're thinking about a backup generator for your home ahead of hurricane season.
We're also a day and a half from the beginning of pool season. Why not call USA Concrete Coatings and get a new polyurethane pool deck put down on that ugly, unsightly, mildew-covered concrete you've got out back. Remember when that was in style, that pebble rock?
Yeah.
That's not in style anymore.
They've been doing a lot of these for about the last 2 weeks.
Absolutely.
Check out their Facebook page. You'll see the transformation that they do. And it's awesome.
Transformation. I like
it's their
that.
word, not mine.
I like it. 578 home. Reach out to them. And then the Gray Barn, time to host a party, time to host a political fundraiser. You want to run for mayor? What? Reach out to Cheryl, 920-6803. She'll help you design with all the bunting and all that. You just give her the idea. She'll help you design a party that'll make you feel better when you don't get elected. She's done it for me. 920-6803. Zach Smith says, great day to be a Victorian. He's an optimistic little tyke, isn't he?
He is.
It's like the Doogie Howser of mortgage work.
I think
you've never known that guy's 57 years old.
No, never.
No. Huge Generals fan, supporter, sponsor.
But I think just getting back to the Masters, wrap this up. I don't know that Zalatoris is going to be the next Jordan Spieth like they were talking about him. I think he's one of those guys that's going to go on have. I don't even know if he's going to get Matt Kuchar type of consistency. Maybe a little bit better than somewhere between Kuchar and Kendall.
But don't forget,
Zalatoris.
Where has he been? What has he ever done? Is this it?
I think he won on the Korn Ferry Tour.
Korn Ferry Tour.
That's the next level down now.
Wow.
Used to be the web.com, Nike Tour all the way.
Well,
I can't even keep up with what.
Just to give you some perspective, Jordan Spieth has won, 15 times on tour or something like that? And he's only 27. Zalatoris is 24
Hasn't
already.
won yet on the tour.
Yeah, so I agree with you. I think
he had a good weekend. He might have played some of the best golf of his life. I just don't – he's not even a regular member on the PGA Tour. He's using sponsor exemptions because he
not
won.
Anymore. He'll be exempt now, at least.
Well, not this year. I think COVID is allowed for – well, I mean, he's got the exemptions, so I think he can play pretty much any tournament he wants.
Top 10, probably top 10 in the Masters gets you exempt for a year.
Every year, I think. But
good for him. You know what? When you can go home at night and say, "Hey, that was a multi-million-dollar week right there."
Yeah, that's pretty good.
That's guaranteed.
And he did pretty good. He won like $400,000 on the Korn Ferry. That's not a bad year.
Yeah, he won 1.2 on the weekend here.
Yeah, it's like 3 years of Korn Ferry Tour winnings right there. But
there you go.
I just Yeah, he's got the special status on the tour, but I just don't know. I don't. I think this is one of those great weekends that he may never replicate. And I'm not going to say he's not going to win on tour. I don't think he's going to be the type of golfer that they were talking him up. If you watch Masters coverage this weekend and the hype that went with them, I don't think it's there.
Now, those of you that keep score, those of you that remember the things that we say here, you'll remember that I bucked the trend of Brother Gary and Ash, and I told you Baylor was going to dominate Gonzaga. 86-70 was domination. Those of you that pay attention to such minutia will note that on Friday I told you emphatically that the Houston Astros would drop 2 out of 3 to the Oakland A's. It's just the law of large numbers. The A's had only won 1 game. They beat the Dodgers. They were 1-6 coming in here. Now they're, 3-7. But they weren't going to go to 1-9. It's just not going to happen. So they did a pretty good job.
So what you're saying is Zalatoris is going to end up winning the Grand Slam in the next 2 years.
I'll
based
go
on my
emphatically down that way and say no, that's not correct. But I'm telling you that, and by the way, the Astros are fine now. Jose Urquidy did a great job pitching the other day, and just it was time to get him out. Christian Javier pitched really well. Many of you don't even know who Christian Javier is. He did a great job. 5 innings of shutout baseball. The Astros are going to be just fine. Now, Yordan Alvarez either hits the ball 600 feet. He averages like 100 feet an at-bat because he either hits it 600 feet or he strikes out. It reminds me a lot of Babe Ruth without the 700 homers. But
maybe more like Dave Kingman.
Yeah, it's like, come
on, Rob Deere.
Yeah, Patrick Strauss says the Stros left their bats in California.
Kind of did, didn't they?
My heart.
Got the Tigers at home. The Tigers are 3-6 coming in. Stros 6-3.
I like the Astros' chances of sweeping that series in San Francisco.
3-game set.
Yes, sweep. Get your brooms out. So good. It's so funny to watch the size differential to get the bat speed that you need. When I saw Altuve hit a home run the other day, and his spleen was laying on the plate after he swung.
Yeah.
And Yordan Alvarez just he literally, when he came in and they do all that Boone Brothers elbow stuff, he yawned. He did. He's just a big old teddy bear.
Well, what you didn't realize is Straw is now on the IR with a fractured forearm.
Fractured fibia. Snapped it. He just gave him one of those and snapped his arm. Compound fracture. He's at the Joe Theismann Clinic.
Trey Molina asked, "Do we see the UT kid hit bombs this weekend?"
No, I didn't. Who was it, Trey?
A few of those. I don't know if we're talking majors, minors.
Texas win?
Today's the NHL trade deadline.
And that's the Hockey Minute.
That's the Hockey Minute. Taylor Hall got traded yesterday. He's a former first-round pick.
We try to tailor our coverage to the demands of our
audience. There's some Canadians,
and
too.
There you have it. The Canadian Hockey Minute has been – well, if we discounted time the way we discount the Canadian dollar, like 5 seconds would be a minute. Yeah.
That's true.
Isn't that right?
That's true.
Special shout out to all our friends in, especially sunny, tepid, Calgary, Alberta, Canada. One of our favorite places that I've never been.
Minneota, Manitoba.
Minneota.
I think it's called.
Where are you from? I'm from Minneota, Manitoba,
I think that's what it's called.
Saskatchewan.
I got a text. Johnny Houghton sent me a message yesterday.
Nova Scotia.
Yeah, Minneota. Where they have a snowfall warning in effect and expecting snow for the first couple of days this week.
Fonseca says Zalatoris is going to win a lot of tournaments when he gets through the 8th grade.
Yeah, he turned pro, I think, left Wake Forest early, if I'm not mistaken.
The Demon Deacons.
No, I'm not doubting he's a good golfer. I just don't think he's going to have the career that everybody touted him to have
I tell you
watching
what,
Masters coverage this
Look-
weekend.
look at the players. Go back to even early Tiger to later Tiger. Now, the argument could be made that early Tiger was long and lithe, and bulky Tiger got hurt a lot from being tight. But look at the players.
PEDs maybe?
I don't think there's any doubt Tiger was on some juice back in the day. If you look at the Brooks Koepkas and the Bryson DeChambeaus, and even Jordan Spieth has immense quads. Golfers have gotten bulkier. This Zalatoris kid is
Lean and
long,
he's-
skinny.
He's Davis. He reminds me body type Davis Love the
Yeah,
third.
I just don't know if his body can hold up like that. AJ, this is a nice side story, Bobcat. Thanks for sharing that. Many of you will recall the beloved manager of the Astros, AJ Hinch, is coming back now as the manager of the Detroit Tigers.
yeah.
I wonder if
And you and I
fans will break
spec-
out the drum.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think Astros fans liked AJ. And you and I mean, I think we talked on here. I thought that Dusty Baker was going to be a placeholder till AJ's suspension was over, and then they'd bring him back. But Jim Crane said no and wasn't going to bring
Gave
him
him an
back.
extension.
Gave Baker an extension, and Hinch went on to Detroit. I think, in all fairness, I think Hinch is a good manager. He doesn't have the horses in Detroit, but I think if they can build a team to at least be more competitive, I think AJ is the type of manager that can take that team and make them better than the talent that they has. I don't know. I mean, he can't work miracles with lack of talent.
Is he damaged goods? I mean, do people
Obviously not if Detroit's going to hire him to rebuild, but I think they took a chance on him. They caught some flack for hiring him for sure. But,
you want to do something without catching any flack?
please.
Go to atzenhofer.com today and just look at the cars. Chevy, Cadillac, Mazda. I sound like Sean Connery. Go to atzenhofer.com.
Folks, that
Winners.
Subaru Forester is still there. I saw it last night. I'm like, there's no way.
Losers, go to the car lot. Winners, go to atzenhofer.com. Get over there and check out Cadillac, Mazda, Mitsubishi.
All your favorite pre-owns in great condition. Absolutely the best of the best of trade-ins, one owner.
There is one I
Trades.
want to go see over there. I want to go see it because there's got somebody who must have lost some Krugerrands in the back. There's a GMC Denali on the lot over there. And I know Atzenhofer sells things at the right price. This thing's $84,968. Now, how did you get to $84,968? Is that like some subliminal deal? Why not just call it $85,000?
Psychological.
$85,000 for a Denali.
You'll
What did
buy
that
it
thing
for
cost
that.
new?
You buy it for that. You'll think you got a good deal because you didn't pay $85 for it, but you'll tell all your friends you paid $85 for it.
Yeah. Oh,
That's how it
absolutely. Yeah. I bought it for half. Yeah. Well, plus the TT&L and the rubber mats.
It's a nice car. You can go look
It's
it out at
beautiful.
atzenhofer.com if you don't want to get out on this
atzenhofer.com.
hazy, foggy, misty kind of morning.
Caleb Shaw loves the segues, the double O segue. Dun, 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 dun. White Trash Services saw BJ and Scott Nelson the other night, and they're thrilled and busy, and they are seriously, folks, very, very generous with their time and with the things they do to give back to this community. A vital part of Victoria politics, Victoria service, Scott's,
Victoria Trash Collection.
absolutely. 550-1826.
I mean, without them, there'd just be refuse piling up all over the county.
everywhere. Reach out to White Trash Services and let them come out and take care of your family. 550-1826. Razor IT Solutions, JP Hull and his team. It's not just JP.
No,
But when
it's
I
not a
ask
team.
him, it's funny because we're very good friends away from the program. He's not just a sponsor. And when he and I talk, I'll ask him questions, and he will basically say, "You don't want to, just don't. Don't bore yourself with that." It'd be like if I asked you, "Well, what's the regulation on eligibility?" You're like,
Yeah, you
what?
don't
It's just
know.
going to take longer
Yeah.
than you really need.
You
don't
have
care.
none. That's the short answer.
Right. I'm glad that you're asking me. It shows you care about me, but you have no clue of what you ask. And that's what JP says to me. Now, if you have no clue of what you ask, speaking of segues, Caleb, if you have no clue of what you ask, reach out to the law offices of Stephen Kidder. Let Steve Kidder decipher the contract, the divorce demand, the child support regulations, let Steve Kidder do that for you. If you want it on the cheery side, a prenup,
The right of way on the piece of land you're looking at.
a trust, a will, civil litigation. Steven's your guy. Steven's really a guy also, if he is not ideally suited to handle what you want, he will help you find the person who is, and he's not going to charge you for that. You just call him. The law offices of Steve Kidder.
Well, he was until you just told him that he's not.
I
now.
just said he's not going to do it. He's going to give. That's the Wade and Carter program. You just tell him. And complete 360 and the health bar right over here. Smoothies.
This is radio. People can't see your hand gestures.
Just right over there, right behind us on Red River. They make a peanut butter and chocolate Elvis based smoothie that's got bananas in it. Oh man, Scylla. Get in the plane, baby. Anyway, get over there.
I think they've got one of those in a panini as well.
They do. Lisa says we're cutting in and out. It's probably best.
It's probably Lisa.
It's probably just Lisa.
Probably.
She's tossing and turning in bed. Tossing and turning.
Sam Cooke, wasn't it?
Right. Talk to me.
Where do we want
How about
to
Joe
go
Biden?
next? Yeah,
Joe Biden and his wall.
He's gonna build it.
Let's be honest. If we're gonna put it out there, let's put it out there. Joe Biden decided
Quietly over the weekend, because nothing gets reported out of the White House over the weekend,
that there's sections of wall on the United States border that he wants to complete because there's too many openings. If they can close one opening, now there's only 2 ways for people to come in instead of 3. Joe Biden, very quietly, folks, began construction on Donald Trump's wall. Now, you may ask, if you are a thinking person, why didn't he just tear down the other 2 sections, right? Joe Biden was against the wall.
Why didn't he just tear down the other sections?
Then you just have one big opening. But no, he's closing it off and building a wall. I just found that when I was like, nuh-uh. Yeah. I told Dawn, nuh-uh. Dawn goes, yeah, I sent you that on Telegram. I'm like, come on. And
it probably won't be talked about at all by the mainstream media for sure.
Lisa because she's in denial. She's drinking coffee with her mom.
Because when Donald Trump was building the wall, it was the worst thing that he could be doing to the U.S. border.
But now Joe Biden's doing it just because I don't know. What's his logic?
We're going to pay for it.
Yeah.
Here's my logic for this. Because I've heard that these folks that were contractually bound to build the wall were still getting paid when Joe Biden said, we're not going to build the wall anymore. So we were just giving government money away to folks for nothing, which we do all the time.
Called stimulus.
But why didn't you just continue on? And once these sections of walls, if you really want to stop it, then it's done. It was purely symbolic. Right. He is so obsessed with reversing everything that Donald Trump has done or did. Yes. And I don't even know if it's all him, to be honest. I don't know if he's got the cognitive abilities to do most of this.
Obama.
Those behind him do.
Amen.
But Biden and his minions and his puppeteers are so obsessed with Donald Trump and are so full of Trump derangement syndrome that they have to undo everything Donald Trump did, good, bad, and different.
But he cares. He cares, Etch.
Yeah.
He cares.
I think they're finding out that the wall thing and the border policies that Donald Trump had implemented that had gotten our illegal crossings down to a trickle. This is an admission that, well, you know what? He was probably doing the right thing.
They're not ever going to say that, though.
No, they're not. But by their actions are admitting it. Craig Simpson says maybe he's on the Prevagen.
Nice. I need some Prevagen, Craig Simpson.
I don't think Joe is on the Prevagen. I'm not sure what he's on.
I heard one over the weekend.
Collagen for sure.
I don't know what your stance on this would be. or our listeners. By the way, 575-9509 anytime you want. 575-9509. I struggle with
361 is the area code for those outside the area.
But it's like you hear the phrase or the word appropriation, like cultural appropriation. Like if I say, oh, tonight I'm making egg rolls or I'm doing a stir fry, oh, okay, you're culturally appropriating. You can't make Chinese food. You're just a white guy. I find it stumbling for me that there's a lot of talk out there right now in a quote unquote minority community. I don't know if you people have looked around, but in Texas, I mean, basically gringos are a minority. There's nothing in it. I feel the same. I still feel like I've got the same family I had before. First people I think of are Lee and Ida. I mean, they think I'm Hispanic,
No.
Well, you're right. When I'm not there, they're laughing about me, aren't they? Did you see him eat the queso? Anyway, there was a talk show I was listening to on the weekend, and very intelligent people. And I'm not saying that like it's an anomaly, but there was it was obvious listening. There was a black host was talking to a black guest, and the lady who was the guest was pointing out that in times of poverty, and it's a national fact that there's more white poor people in this country than any other race. Percentage-wise, maybe not. But sheer numbers, there's more poor white people. We see poor white trash all the time, and you know it. But they were saying that this leads to more gun violence. And these are anti-gun people chasing
that's just
their
a
guns.
narrative, right?
And they were saying, this black woman said, well, everybody knows that in tough times economically, the brown and black community resort to gun violence more than the rest. And I'm sitting there saying, I can't believe that nobody is outraged that one race is dragging another race into their problem just to bolster their argument.
This is what the leftists do.
Because the brown gunfire doesn't go up. Blacks kill blacks with weapons. Go to Chicago, go to Detroit, go to Minneapolis. Blacks kill blacks with guns. That's what happens.
This is straight out of the leftist playbook, the Marxist playbook. You divide any which way you can. You divide people, whether it's by color, whether it's by
gender,
ethnicity, whether it's by gender, whether it's by religion. That's
divide.
That's what Marxists do.
And then the Democrats try to pick them all back up and put them in one basket. You're all the disenfranchised. Come with us. We're with the government. We're here to help. And you're too stupid to do it on your own. So we're going to help you. Yeah. It's a sad narrative. It's an anti-American narrative. America's always been a can-do country.
A melting pot, if you wish. And now we're getting into a point where no longer do we want people to come here and become Americans.
We want you to come here and do what you used to
be everybody's, America's not first under the Biden administration.
Can I just read this verbatim? Is it okay with you?
Sure.
Big news, folks. Iceman, that's our, beyond top fan, Justin Swatowski. Iceman is no longer with Ready Ice of Victoria.
Former top fan, he lost his badge.
Well, probably because he quit. He's now partnered with B&B Ice out of Port Arthur. He covers from Corpus Christi to Tampa Bay, Florida.
He thought he was driving a lot before. Get ready, Ice.
They're Ready Ice's largest distributing partner nationally. So he's still tied to Ready Ice, but he doesn't work directly for Ready Ice. I remember when I was a kid, the bag always said Crystal Tips. Remember that? I always thought that was funny. No. Crystal Tips.
We were so poor.
How poor were you?
We would bag ice for months with our own 2 ice trays getting ready for Christmas. Wally was not going to spend $1.50 on a bag of ice. Ice up there, you would think ice in Canada would be a cheap thing.
Yeah, you can pick it up anyway.
Yeah. No. It's like $5 a bag. Ice, you want to go make some money? Go undercut the ice business in Canada. You will make a killing selling it at prices in the U.S.
I'm going to make some people upset right here because they're going to remember this. It's going to stay with you all day. If you don't want something to stay with you all day, turn your radio down right now. I can still remember
Do-do-do-do-do-do.
the aluminum tray. It had kind of a pebble grain finish to
Yep.
it, and there was a handle, and you put the ice in there. And can you remember the squeak when you did that? And it would like shriek at you. That. Then we were big time now when the plastic trays came out, and you just kind of twisted them. And then we had, and Tupperware made it to delicately fit in one of the shelves in your freezer, and you could turn it like. And I got a little overzealous, and all of our trays were cracked all the time, but that's what we did.
Yeah,
Jim calls it the jamdle.
I think that's a typo.
I think it is too. Pull
I think
the
he meant to
handle,
call it the Jimdle,
or the handle.
maybe.
Iceman says he's staying in Texas. Are you
Yeah.
staying here, Ice? That's the question.
That's the key. We don't want to lose our Iceman.
I mean, if we need to get more wattage, we'll do it, but we'd like to keep the Iceman handy.
Did you see the Biden administration's budget? They rolled this one out over the weekend too. Did you see this
Quietly,
quietly?
nobody
So
talks about it.
nobody can,
Let me guess.
because obviously you didn't see it.
I didn't, like 18 trillion?
No, close.
Is it? Am I close?
No.
Okay.
You're probably one too many zeros. And a little bit. 1.5 trillion. This is our annual federal budget. Domestic spending goes up 16%. Defense spending by less than 2%. I can't even imagine what the domestic spending would be.
Is
I
that
mean,
not crazy?
How
though?
do we spend more domestically? He just proposed a $2 trillion infrastructure program. So wouldn't that in essence reduce our federal budget, because all those programs that aren't really infrastructure, that they're trying to redefine as infrastructure, are now getting money? I'd be curious to see how many of those programs that were proposed for the $2 trillion infrastructure spending program are still included in our annual budget,
What blows
because
my
they
mind,
shouldn't be.
Iceman says the Victoria office will remain his. What blows my mind, Ash, is when you think about all of the IRS people, all of the federal workers, all of the government employees, all of the departments, all of the military people, all the salaries of all of the military, and we just had a stimulus program that was bigger than that.
1.6 trillion was the America Relief Plan, right?
And you can't be against America Relief Plan. That leads me to something I want to ask you about before we get off the air, because the Brother Man and the Hall of Famer are here. I can hear them. They're talking. They're prepping. Does it not blow your mind that you hear it here all the time. We talk about the fact that if you want to do something, you call it, if you want to euthanize every puppy on the planet, you could call it the chocolate cookie program. And like, who could be against chocolate cookies? It doesn't matter what's in the bill. The America Relief Program. Would you rather have the American Oppression Program? No, you vote for the American Relief Program. So trendy, cutting edge, empathetic, Black Lives Matter. Well, of course they do. Everybody knows Black Lives Matter. Let's all be for that. The three broads that started that movement are all openly Marxist. I heard a deal over the weekend. Bill O'Reilly. This is not just some, idiot off the street. This is an idiot with a pedigree. Bill O'Reilly said, hey, look, they take the money, they launder it over to this. There's an organization that's a 501c3. Ash, 71% of the money that's given to Black Lives Matter as a charity, 71% goes back to those three women. Folks.
Patrice, the one who's probably the most openly Marxist, it was just revealed, bought $1 million house somewhere in suburban LA.
She's got like 5 properties.
I heard this morning like
500,000.
9. She's up to 9 properties, and she's flipping houses off the backs of those who gave to the charity.
That's what now they're calling it Black Lives Manners.
And and you know what? Those who gave will excuse it.
Oh yeah, I didn't give it to them. I gave it to the cause. But it didn't get to the cause.
No, it never got to the cause. But anyway, speaking of the cause, we'll yeah, what was the number raised this past? Well, I've heard like something like 70 million over the last year.
For Black Lives Matter. And each one of those ladies got 24% of that. Stop and think about that.
So 71%. So what's that? About 50 million of the 70 that didn't get to anywhere it was supposed to go?
Well, it did.
Based
It
on
got
that
back to the 3
70%,
Marxists that designed it that way.
Yeah, that's true.
Because they're just paying themselves as consultants for the nonprofit.
Yeah.
It's perfectly legal. Bill Clinton's done it for years. It's legal. It's just, why is it not viewed as immoral? Because if you're not for it, you're a racist. Carter's a racist. He doesn't like Black Lives Matter.
Because nobody's going to question what they do. And then if they do, they'll be brandished by the leftist media that they're not for the cause, right? That's why.
Absolutely.
Speaking of for the cause, we'll give way for the
Perfect. The Hall of
cause, the
Famer.
Hall of Famer and the Brother Man.
Day 2 without a call from Mike Gomez. I was here all day, ready to discuss anything he wanted to discuss.